time. Sometimes a single moment can change the entire shape of your world. Today's story begins with one quiet afternoon, and a girl named Layla. Hello everyone, welcome back to Amara Noor. Today I'm sharing the beginning of a beautiful and thoughtful novel called Something Like Gravity. It's a story about small moments, the kind that feel ordinary at first, but slowly change everything. Let's begin. Chapter 1, Recognition. One quiet afternoon, the narrator was sitting outside the school library. A book was open in his lap, but he wasn't really reading it. He had already finished that book weeks ago. The sun was shining on the pavement, making the ground look warm even though the air was. Then something happened. A girl named Layla walked around the corner. She was reading a piece of paper while walking, squinting at it in the sunlight. She almost walked straight into the iron railing by the steps. But she caught herself. And then she laughed. Not loudly. Not embarrassed. Just a small, private laugh. And somehow, that moment stayed in his mind. He had seen Layla before. They were in the same history class. He sat 3 rows behind her. He had watched her write with blue ink and tap her pen when the teacher spoke too long. But this time was different. This was the first time he truly noticed her. There's a difference between looking at someone and seeing them. And sometimes that difference can take years. Layla sat down on the steps nearby and read the paper she was holding. From a distance, he watched her expression change. First concentration, then confusion, or maybe recognition. From far away, those two emotions look very similar. The afternoon slowly turned golden as students left their classes and filled the courtyard with noise. But Layla seemed quiet. She looked out toward the empty playing fields like she was waiting for something. He recognized that look. It was the same look he had when he sat alone in his room thinking about life. A kind of solitude that isn't lonely. A silence that feels like company. After a while, Layla picked up her bag and left. But the afternoon felt different now. Something small had changed. That night, while lying awake, he kept thinking about that moment when she almost walked into the railing and laughed. There was something special about how easily she accepted her own clumsiness. Like she had already made peace with herself. And he envied that. Because at 17, he overthought everything. He didn't tell anyone about the moment. After all, nothing had really happened. He had just noticed someone. But sometimes, that's how everything begins. Quietly. Chapter 2, Vulnerability. A week later, it rained for 3 days straight. On the 3rd day, he was standing outside the 6th form common room, watching the rain fall over the parking lot. Waiting for it to stop. But it didn't. Then someone walked up beside him. It was Layla. Her coat was wet from the rain. She shook the water off her hands and said, "I thought it was stopping." He replied, "It keeps looking like it will." She glanced at him and simply said, "Layla." Just her name. Simple. Honest. He answered awkwardly, "I know, we're in the same history class." She smiled slightly. "I know." Then she remembered something. "You're the one who corrected Mr. Ashford about the Munich agreement." "He was wrong," he said. "He was," she agreed. They stood quietly together, watching the rain. Sometimes 2 people watching the weather creates a strange kind of closeness. Because rain belongs to both of you equally. Then Layla noticed the book under his arm. "What are you reading?" she asked. He showed her the cover. "It's quiet," he explained. "It's about how people remember things differently, how memory changes the original moment." Layla thought about that. Then she said something interesting. "My grandmother tells the same stories from her life over and over. Each time they change a little. I used to think she was lying. But she was. She was remembering something true that had become more true." He paused. More true. Layla nodded. The details change, but the feelings stay accurate. That's what memory is really for. For once, he didn't know what to say. Finally, he replied, I think your grandmother might be right. The rain slowed slightly. The bell rang inside the building. And suddenly, they both ran toward class. Different directions. No goodbye. But it didn't feel like an ending. It felt more like a pause. As if the conversation would continue someday. Later that day, he kept thinking about what she had said. The idea that emotions could be more important than facts. Some thoughts only become meaningful when they come from the right person, at the right moment. Sometimes, even in the rain. And that is the beginning of something like Gravity. A story about quiet moments, deep thoughts, and connections that grow slowly over time. If you want to hear the next chapter, make sure to subscribe to Amara Noor and let me know in the comments. Because the story is just getting started. See you in the next video.